everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm still trying to figure out the name for this channel, but right now it's called Ikpeme-Mbakwem, and so welcome. I haven't posted in a while. I have actually missed posting, doing my videos and posting, and I haven't posted in a while because I've been focused on trying to post on two particular handles, which is my Instagram and my LinkedIn handles. I'm trying to reach, a certain audience, of women who are professionals in the workspace, business women, just so I could share with them, how to be separated or divorced, or even a single mother, and still love life, still achieve purpose, still be a fantastic mom, and just still kill it wherever, in whatever space that they find themselves in. And it's doable. I'm a testimony to that, right? And so I'm sharing this. So I'm gonna be posting there, a lot of posts there as well, and I'll also be doing these videos. So I'm going to put my handles in the description box after, so after you've watched this channel, please follow me on those channels as well. Okay, so today we will be talking about how can I help my kids cope with the new normal. And it's one of the most difficult things. I think that is the fear that a lot of women have when they're faced with a disruption in their marital situations, right? Yes, so they feel like how they're going to cope with handling the children, especially when the kids begin to ask questions, and it's a really tough one, I have to say. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's tough. And every day we learn. And that is what I found myself doing. I was learning every day. I allowed myself to be vulnerable because I'm not superwoman. I allowed myself to be vulnerable. And I also opened up my mind and my heart to learn how to communicate with my son. And that is because communication is the most important thing that would help a relationship, especially the relationship with your kids. So I'm going to share some of the ways to cope with the new normal, to help them cope with the new normal. Okay. So one of the first things, and I think the most important thing in this entire conversation, is break the truth to them about the broken relationship. But do not say negative things about the other party or the other parent. What am I saying? You should break the truth down to them. So in my situation, right, I actually went ahead to tell my son, even though he was really young at that point. And it's also important that you tell the truth, because it's the truth that can allow you to be consistent in what you say. So I made him understand that mom and dad are not living together anymore. They're going to live in different homes. But we both love you, and you will spend time with each of us. There's no need to get into the nitty-gritty of why you guys broke up. No, you couldn't work it out, it's fine. There's no need to say negative things about the other parent. It messes with the kids' minds. And it also puts you in a position where your kids will begin to wonder if you really are a safe place. So please, when you want to communicate to your kids about the situation, leave all those negative talk out of the conversation and just focus on what the situation is. You are living in separate homes now. That is because you couldn't work things out together. And then go further to make them understand that they are also safe in this situation. So you tell them, It doesn't matter that we're living in separate homes. Mom and dad still love you very much, and we're going to ensure and work together to ensure that you spend fantastic time with both of us. Now, this is the best communication, whatever it is. You have to find a way to break this communication down to them. And because they are kids and they are growing, consistency is security. So that means that what you say should not really change as they grow older. So bear that in mind. Now, the second thing to help them cope is, so there are times when there'll be a meltdown. It doesn't matter if you've communicated to them before, right? Kids are also internalizing. They're thinking. They are seeing other children with their parents together. And there are times when they would always, go back and, wonder why me? Why is it that my parents are not together? And there will be a meltdown. Trust me. There will be a meltdown. But try to stay calm. Because at this point, it's not about you. If you watch some of my other videos, I always talk about this. If you read my post, I always say something that is so important. It is not about you. Do your best to remember that in this situation, okay? So what did I do? The very first time my son had a meltdown, oh my goodness gracious, I was in pieces. I didn't know what to do because he'd been crying, but the very first thing I did was take a deep breath and stay calm. And then I grabbed him and held onto him really tight and allowed him to just express, to say everything he wanted to say, because I wanted to hear what it was that was in his mind. And it was tough for me, but I held on to my calmness and I asked God to give me the words to be able to communicate with my son in a way that he would understand and be calm. And certain things that I know that were very important for me to talk about was, again, Mom and Dad love you. We're going to do our best to make sure that we're living in the same, that you're experiencing both our homes. I also told him something that was very important, that it does not make you different if you have your parents separated. You're not different from any other kid. That I told my son that he was my shining star and that there's nothing in this world that he could not achieve. It's important to continue to build up your child's mindset or your children's mindset, even in this situation. I also told him that it wasn't his fault that this had happened. Because, kids just have a way of thinking things in different ways. It is important to listen to them when they melt down and when they are talking. Listen. Have compassion, have empathy. And then seek wisdom on how you can communicate to calm them. Okay, so I don't want to get emotional because sometimes that makes me get emotional when I remember those meltdown moments. Yeah. The third thing to help your kids cope with the situation, with this new normal, is just releasing them to go to the other parent's home. Remember, you've already said that you're going to give them the best of both homes. You allow them to experience the best of both homes. So that means that you should actually live up to your words. Make going to the other home exciting. I remember every time it was the time for Kenneth's dad to come pick him up, I would ensure that there was all this exciting activity towards that, right? Oh, that's coming. What are you taking? I created that excitement for my son to know that I was okay with him going there to his dad's place. I made him look forward to it with freedom to express. I didn't want him to feel bad that he was leaving me and going to his dad's place. No, because it means that I'm projecting a negative feeling on him. And this started from the when we from I mean that 3 to 4 year old, sort of that early. I made sure that there was an excitement with even his nanny was involved in making sure that it was exciting when it was time for his dad's weekend. So this has been the norm for us, and that's how I helped him, cope with that new normal of going from one home to to the other every other weekend. Your kids have to feel comfortable leaving you to go to the other parent's home. You can't run away from that, please. It is critical for their mindset. You don't want them going and feeling like guilty because they're leaving you, and you also don't want them to feel guilty when they're leaving the other party. So please remember, release them with joy. Release them with joy. Now, the fourth way to help your kids cope is do not. Okay, let me just say this in a different way. Do your best to ensure calm, peace, no tension when communicating with the other co-parent, especially when the children are around. This is such an important way to keep them calm and happy. They're children, so you don't want them feeling that mom and dad are quarreling with each other, there's no peace. Children also feed off the energy that the parents give. So if your energy is negative or heavy, it would be overwhelming for them to cope. They will be uncomfortable. Their minds will be so filled with all that negativity that when they're kids, right, internalizing, instead of them to be happy, doing the happy and being busy, being kids, they would be filled with thoughts about you and their dad and how you guys keep fighting. And if you're listening to this and you're married, right, you're together in your marriage, it's important that you also take this tip as well. Parents should do their best to reduce the tension for their kids. It's for your kids' well-being. So do your best to manage yourselves. This is something that when I do my reflections and I go back to when I was married and I think about it, it's one of the things that was also that played out in the marriage as well, right? So tension, heavy feeling in the home. We we have our energies, right? Regardless of how unhappy things are, once there are kids in the mix, please always do your best to reduce the tension, improve the energy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work that starts in the mind first, and then it exudes. It's all around you. It becomes an aura around you. So please, when your kids are in your homes, or you're in your homes with your kids, reduce the heavy negative energy. It doesn't work for the kids. Let the kids feel peace when they're in their homes. It helps them grow. It helps them be healthy mentally and emotionally. And that is something that you really want for your children. Trust me, it is something that you want for your kids. Because when your kid's mindset is in a good place, you would be in a good place. Yes, you will. Okay? So the fifth one is, do not encourage negative conversations with family and friends about your co-parent, and never around the children. People sometimes just talk and talk, and they forget that the kids are around. Kids listen even when they are playing. I mean, I know that my kids, my son, right? My kids, okay, my son. Some of the feedback from school, his teachers, is that your son, even when he plays, he's listening, right? Because when you ask him a question, he answers. That's very instructive for me as a parent. So it means that my son is listening in on my conversations, probably, if he's around. So I need to be conscious of what I say when I'm around him. I also need to guide people not to say any negative thing about my son's father when he is around. And I think because of my mindset, it made it easy for me to also manage, even when he's not around. I'm not having any of those conversations. Because to be honest with you, the question is, what is the point of having those conversations? There's really no point. It relieves all the past pain, and you don't want to live in the past. You want to move on, right? So make sure you manage those conversations. It helps your kids to cope. When they're not hearing all those negative things, it helps them cope. Believe me, it does. The sixth is, you are allowed to have meltdowns, because I had a lot of meltdowns. Trust me, a lot. But I did not have my meltdowns in front of my child. It has a way of working on their minds negatively. So, because I've not had a meltdown in front of my son, right, I can't say what it would do to him. But I just imagine how sad he would be, how concerned he would be if mommy starts crying, about and mourning about, what has happened, and. So I just feel that I just needed to add this here. So it's okay for you to be vulnerable. Vulnerability allows you to be human, especially when your kids come and they cry to you. But when you are having a meltdown based on your situation, right, it's best to have it with an adult, a friend that you can talk to, or with yourself behind closed doors when you're alone. And when you're done, you wipe your face and step back, because your children also need you to need that security of knowing that mom is strong and is there. I don't know how else to explain this to you. Okay? All right. Now, the seventh is also very critical, and that's the last share. Respect your children's time at the other home. You must understand that you don't love your kids more than the other parent loves your kids. You also must understand that when they're there, when they are away from you, they'll be safe. Trust that they'll be safe. Pray for them and, just let them go. And don't keep on calling to find out, to check in. Just let them be away from you. It gives them time to grow. It gives you time to also grow, be yourself, do some things, for yourself. Think carefully about what I just said, okay? Because it's also good for you. So respect their time when they're there and let them enjoy it. If you need to call to check in maybe about homework or something, it's fine. But you're not calling over and over again, every second calling. How it, doesn't make any sense, really, right? And then, when they're back at yours, let them just come back to yours and just be normal, okay? Let everything just go on like clockwork, like normal. Don't sit down and start asking them questions about, what happened in the other home, or details about the other home. It is not your business. It is not your business, and you do not want your children to develop that gossip tendency. So, do not teach them that. Don't engage in such conversations. The only thing that I think, which is what I do, when my son comes, like, oh, did you have fun in that home? Yes, okay, so what did you do? Did you play? Did you read? And it's only focused on him. Don't begin to ask him about the affairs in that home, what he ate, how he ate. It's not your business. What is your concern is that when your son leaves, his mind is healthy, and you trust that he's in a safe place, and when he comes home, he's also happy. That is your concern. So we've come to the end of this share. It's a lot to think about, I know. But when I say that these are doable, believe me, they are. Because I'm a living testimony of these things that I've just shared to you, these 7 things I've shared to you. You can't achieve these things without being intentional. But before you can be intentional, you need to have the end in mind. So I learned this from where I used to work when we got separated. And one of the values was execution. And in execution, one of the points in execution was always have the end in mind. This particular word of wisdom has been a driving force for anything that I do, especially in this situation that I found myself as first separated and then divorced. I always have the end in mind, the end for my child and the end for me. And it has informed how I handle things. I am not myopic, and I do not think of me only. My main focus is my son. But for me to be able to get my son to be stable, healthy, intelligent, happy, it starts with me. So I have worked on myself, and I keep on working on myself every single time. Because I know it's through me, through my actions, through my behavior, through my decisions, through my attitudes, through my beliefs, through my values, that my son will be a well-rounded human being. So, it's in your hands. Think of the end in mind, then be intentional about achieving that end. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions for me, just leave it in the comment box. If you have any comments, leave it in the comments box. Also, please, my book is available for you to buy, and I'm gonna put everything in the description box. So just go forth this week. Be happy. Love life. Love life. Thank you.